Then he brought me to the gate facing east, and there the glory of the God of Israel was coming from the east. The sound was like the sound of mighty waters, and the earth shone with his glory. The vision I saw was like the vision that I had seen when he came to destroy the city, and like the vision that I had seen by the river Chebar. I fell upon my face. As the glory of the Lord entered the temple by the gate facing east, the Spirit lifted me up and brought me into the inner court, and the glory of the Lord filled the temple. While the man was standing beside me, I heard someone speaking to me out of the temple. He said to me, "Mortal, this is the place of my throne and the place for the soles of my feet, where I reside among the people of Israel forever. The house of Israel shall no more defile my holy name, neither should they nor their kings, by their whoring and by their corpses of their kings at their death. When they placed their threshold by my threshold and their doorposts beside my doorposts, with only a wall between me and them, they were defiling my holy name by their abominations that they committed. Therefore I have consumed them in my anger. Now let them put away their idolatry and the corpses of their kingdoms far from me, and I will reside among them forever. As for you, mortal, describe the temple to the house of Israel, and let them measure the pattern, and let them be ashamed of their iniquities. When they are ashamed of all that they have done, make it known to them the plan of the temple, its arrangement, its exits, its entrances, and its whole form, all its ordinances, its entire plan, and all its laws. Write it down in their sight so that they may observe and follow the entire plan and all its ordinances. This is the law of the temple. The whole territory on the top of the mountain all around shall be most holy. This is the law of the temple. These are the dimensions of the altar by cubits, the cubit being 1 cubit and a handbreadth. Its base shall be 1 cubit high and 1 cubit wide, with a rim of 1 span around its edge. This shall be the height of the altar, from the base on the ground to the lower edge 2 cubits, and a width of 1 cubit, and from the smaller ledge to the larger ledge 4 cubits, with a width of 1 cubit. And the altar hearth 4 cubits, and from the altar hearth projecting upward 4 horns. The altar hearth shall be square, 12 cubits long by 12 cubits wide. The ledge also shall be square, 14 cubits long by 14 cubits wide, with a rim around it 1/2 cubit wide, and its surrounding base 1 cubit. Its steps shall face east. Then he said to me, Mortal, thus says the Lord God, these are the ordinances for the altar on that day when it is erected, for offering burnt offerings upon it, and for dashing blood against it. You shall give it to the Levitical priests of the family Zadok, who draw near to me and minister to me, says the Lord God, a bull for a sin offering. And you shall take some of its blood and put it on the 4 horns of the altar, and on the 4 corners of the ledge, and upon the rim all around. Thus you shall purify it and make atonement for it. You shall also take the bull of sin offering. It shall be burnt in the appointed place belonging to the temple outside the sacred area. On the 2nd day you shall offer a male goat without blemish for a sin offering, and the altar shall be purified, as it was purified with the bull. When you have finished purifying it, you shall offer a bull without blemish and a ram from the flock without blemish. You shall present them before the Lord, and the priest shall throw salt on them and offer them up as burnt offering to the Lord. For 7 days you shall provide daily a goat for a sin offering. Also a bull and a ram from the flock without blemish shall be provided. 7 days shall they make atonement for the altar and cleanse it, and so consecrate it. When these days are over, then from the 8th day onward, the priest shall offer upon the altar your burnt offerings and your offerings of well-being, and I will accept you, says the Lord God. Then he brought me back to the outer gate of the sanctuary, which faces east, and it was shut. The Lord said to me, This gate shall remain shut, it shall not be opened, and no one shall enter by it, for the Lord, the God of Israel, has entered by it. Therefore it shall remain shut. Only the prince, because he is a prince, may sit in it and eat food before the Lord. He shall enter by way of the vestibule of the gate, and shall go out by the same way. Then he brought me by way of the north gate to the front of the temple, and I looked, and lo, the glory of the Lord filled the temple of the Lord, and I fell upon my face. The Lord said to me, Mortal, mark well today, look closely, and listen attentively to all that I shall tell you concerning all the ordinances of the temple of the Lord, and all its laws, and mark well those who may have been admitted to the temple, and all those who are to be excluded from the sanctuary. Say to the rebellious house, to the house of Israel, Thus says the Lord God, O house of Israel, Let there be an end to all your abominations, in admitting foreigners uncircumcised in heart and flesh to be in my sanctuary, profaning my temple. When you offer to me my food, the fat and the blood, you have broken my covenant with all your abominations, and you have not kept charge of my sacred offerings, but you have appointed foreigners to act for you in keeping my charge in my sanctuary. Thus says the Lord God, no foreigner uncircumcised in heart and flesh of all the foreigners who are among the people of Israel shall enter my sanctuary. The Levites who went far from me, going astray from me after their idols, when Israel went astray, shall bear their punishment. They shall be ministers in my sanctuary, having oversight at the gates of the temple and serving in the temple. They shall slaughter the burnt offerings and the sacrifices for the people, and they shall attend on them and serve them. Because they ministered to them before their idols and made the house of Israel stumble into iniquity, therefore I have sworn concerning them, says the Lord God, that they shall bear their punishment. They shall not come near me to serve me as priest, nor come near any of my sacred offerings, the things that are most sacred, but they shall bear their shame and the consequences of the abominations that they have committed. Yet I will appoint them to keep charge of the temple, to do all its chores, all that is to be done. But the Levitical priests, the descendants of Zadok, who kept the charge of my sanctuary when the people of Israel went astray from me, shall come near to me to minister to me, and they shall attend me to offer the fat and the blood, says the Lord God. It is they who shall enter my sanctuary. It is they who shall approach my table to minister to me, and they shall keep my charge. When they enter the gates of the inner court, they shall wear linen vestments. They shall have nothing of wool on them while they minister at the gates of the inner court and within. They shall have linen turbans on their heads and linen undergarments on their loins. They shall not bind themselves with anything that causes sweat. When they go out into the outer court to the people, they shall remove the vestments in which they have been ministering and lay them in the holy chambers. And they shall put on other garments, so that they may not communicate holiness to the people with their vestments. They shall not shave their heads or let their locks grow long. They shall only trim the hair of their heads. No priest shall drink wine when he enters the inner court. They shall not marry a widow or a divorced woman, but only a virgin of the stock of the house of Israel, or a widow who is the widow of a priest. They shall teach my people the difference between the holy and the common, and show them how to distinguish between the clean and the unclean. In a controversy they shall act as judges, and they shall decide it according to my judgments. They shall keep my laws and my statutes regarding all my appointed festivals, and they shall keep my Sabbaths holy. They shall not defile themselves by going near to a dead person, for father or mother, however, and for son or daughter, or for brother or unmarried sister, they may defile themselves. After he has become clean, they shall count 7 days for him. On the day that he goes into the holy place, into the inner court, to minister to the holy place, he shall offer his sin offering, says the Lord God. This shall be their inheritance. I am their inheritance, and you shall give them no holding in Israel. I am their holding. They shall eat the grain offering, the sin offering, and the guilt offering, and every devoted thing in Israel shall be theirs. The first of all, the first fruits of all kinds, and every offering of all kinds from all your offerings shall belong to the priest. You shall also give to the priest the first of your dough, in order that a blessing may rest on your house. The priest shall not eat of anything, whether bird or animal, that died of itself or was torn by animals. When you allot the land as an inheritance, you shall set aside for the Lord a portion of the land as a holy district, 25,000 cubits long and 20,000 cubits wide. It shall be holy throughout its entire extent. Of this, a square plot of 500 by 500 cubits shall be for the sanctuary, with 50 cubits for an open space around it. In the holy district, you shall measure off a section 25,000 cubits long and 10,000 cubits wide, in which shall be the sanctuary, the most holy place. It shall be a holy portion of the land. It shall be for the priests who minister in the sanctuary and approach the Lord to minister to him, and it shall be both a place for their houses and a holy place for the sanctuary. Another section, 25,000 cubits long and 10,000 cubits wide, shall be for the Levites who minister at the temple as their holding for cities to live in. Alongside this portion, set apart as the holy district, you shall assign as a holding for the city an area to live, an area 5,000 cubits wide and 25,000 cubits long. It shall belong to the whole house of Israel. And to the prince shall belong the land on both sides of the holy district, and the holding of the city alongside the holy district, and the holding of the city on the west and on the east, corresponding in length to one of the tribal portions and extending from the western to the eastern boundary of the land. It is to be his property in Israel. And my princes shall no longer oppress my people, but they shall let the house of Israel have the land according to their tribes. Thus says the Lord God, enough, O princes of Israel, put away violence and oppression and do what is just and right. Cease your evictions of my people, says the Lord God. You shall have honest balances, an honest ephah, and an honest bath. The ephah and the bath shall be of the same measure, the bath containing 1/10 of a homer, and the ephah 1/10 of a homer. The homer shall be the standard measure. The shekel shall be 20 gerahs, 20 shekels, 25 shekels, and 15 shekels shall make a minna for you. This is the offering that you shall make: 1/6 of an ephah from each homer of wheat, and 1/6 of an ephah from each homer of barley. And as the fixed portion of oil, 1/10 of a bath from each core. The core, like the homer, contains 10 baths, and 1 sheep from every flock of 200 from the pastures of Israel. This is the offering for grain offerings, burnt offerings, and offerings of well-being to make atonement for them, says the Lord God. All the people of the land shall join with the prince in Israel in making offerings, but this shall be the obligation of the prince regarding the burnt offerings, grain offerings, and drink offerings at the festivals, the new moons, the Sabbaths, all the appointed festivals of the house of Israel. He shall provide the sin offerings, grain offerings, and the burnt offerings, and the offerings of well-being to make atonement for the house of Israel. Thus says the Lord God, in the first month, on the first day of the month, you shall take a young bull without blemish and purify the sanctuary. The priest shall take some of the blood of the sin offering and put it on the doorposts of the temple, the 4 corners of the ledge of the altar, and the posts of the gate of the inner court. You shall do the same on the seventh day of the month for anyone who has sinned through error or ignorance. So you shall make atonement for the temple. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month, you shall celebrate the festival of the Passover, and for 7 days unleavened bread shall be eaten. On that day the prince shall provide for himself and all the people of the land a young bull for sin offering. And during the 7 days of the festival he shall provide as a burnt offering to the Lord 7 bulls and 7 rams without blemish on each of the 7 days, and a male goat daily for sin offering. He shall provide as a grain offering an ephah for each bull, an ephah for each ram, and a hin of oil to each ephah. In the 7th month, on the 15th day of the month, and for the 7 days of the festival, he shall make the same provision for sin offerings, burnt offerings, and grain offerings for the oil. Thus says the Lord God, the gate of the inner court that faces east shall remain closed on the 6 working days, but on the Sabbath day it shall be opened, and on the day of the new moon it shall be opened. The prince shall enter by the vestibule of the gate from outside, and shall take his stand by the post of the gate. The priest shall offer his burnt offerings and his offerings of well-being, and he shall bow down at the threshold of the gate. Then he shall go out, but the gate shall not be closed until evening. The people of the land shall bow down at the entrance of that gate before the Lord on the Sabbaths and on the new moons. The burnt offerings that the prince offers to the Lord on the Sabbath day shall be 6 lambs without blemish and a ram without blemish, and the grain offering with the ram shall be an ephah, and the grain offering with the lamb shall be as much as he wishes to give, together with a hin of oil to each ephah. On the day of the new moon he shall offer a young bull without blemish, and 6 lambs and a ram which shall be without blemish. As a grain offering he shall provide an ephah with the bull, and an ephah with the ram, and with the lambs as much as he wishes, together with a hin of oil to each ephah. When the prince enters, he shall come in by the vestibule of the gate, he shall go out by the same way. When the people of the land come before the Lord at the appointed festivals, whoever enters by the north gate to worship shall go out by the south gate, and whoever enters by the south gate shall go out by the north gate. They shall not return by way of the gate by which they entered. They shall go out straight ahead. When they come in, the prince shall come in with them, and when they go out, he shall go out. At the festivals and the appointed seasons, the grain offering with the young bull shall be an ephah, and with the ram an ephah, and with the lambs as much as one wishes to give, together with a hin of oil to an ephah. When the prince provides a freewill offering, either burnt offering or offerings of well-being as a freewill offering to the Lord, the gate facing east shall be open for him, and he shall offer his burnt offerings or his offerings of well-being as he does on the Sabbath day. Then he shall go out, and after he is gone out, the gate shall be closed. He shall provide a lamb, a yearling without blemish, for a burnt offering to the Lord daily. Morning by morning he shall provide it, and he shall provide a grain offering with it morning by morning regularly. 1/6 of an ephah and 1/3 of a hin of oil to moisten the choice flour as a grain offering to the Lord. This is the ordinance for all time. Thus the lamb and the grain offering and the oil shall be provided morning by morning as a regular burnt offering. Thus says the Lord God, if the prince makes a gift to any of his sons out of his inheritance, it shall belong to his sons. It is their holding by inheritance. But if he makes a gift out of his inheritance to one of his servants, it shall be his to the year of liberty. Then it shall revert to the prince. Only his sons may keep a gift from his inheritance. The prince shall not take any of the inheritance of the people, thrusting them out of their holding. He shall give his sons their inheritance out of his own holding, so that none of my people shall be dispossessed of their holding. Then he brought me through the entrance which was at the side of the gate to the north row of the holy chambers for the priests, and there I saw a place at the extreme western end of them. He said to me, this is the place where the priest shall boil the guilt offering and the sin offering, and where they shall bake the offering, in order not to bring them out to the outer court and so communicate holiness to the people. Then he brought me to the outer court and led me past the four corners of the court. In each corner of the court there was a court. In the four corners of the court were small courts, 40 cubits long and 30 wide. The four were of the same size. On the inside, around each of the four courts, was a row of masonry with hearths made at the bottom of the rows, all around. Then he said to me, these are the kitchens where those who serve at the temple shall boil the sacrifices of the people. Then he brought me back to the entrance of the temple. There water was flowing below the threshold of the temple toward the east, for the temple faced east, and the water flowed down from below the south end of the threshold of the temple, south of the altar. Then he brought me out by way of the north gate and led me around on the outside of the outer gate that faces towards the east, and the water was coming out on the south side. Going on eastward with a cord in his hand, the man measured 1,000 cubits, and then led me through the water. It was ankle deep. Again he measured 1,000 and led me through the water, and it was knee deep. Again he measured 1,000 and led me through the water, and it was up to the waist. Again he measured 1,000, and it was a river that I could not cross, for the water had risen. It was deep enough to swim in, a river that could not be crossed. He said to me, mortal, have you seen this? He led me back along the bank of the river. As I came back, I saw on the bank of the river a great many trees on the one side and on the other. He said to me, the water flows towards the eastern region and goes down into the Arabah, and when it enters the sea of sitting waters, the water will become fresh. Wherever the river goes, every living creature that swarms will live, and there will be very many fish once these waters reach there. It will become fresh, and everything will live where the water goes. People will stand fishing beside the sea from En-Gedi to En-Engalim. It will be a place for the spreading of nets. Its fish will be a great many kinds, like the fish of the great sea, but its swamps and marshes will not become fresh. They are to be left for salt. On the banks of both sides of the river, there will grow all kinds of trees for food. Their leaves will not wither, nor their fruit fail, but they will bear fresh fruit every month, because the water for them flows from the sanctuary. Their fruit will be for food, and their leaves for healing. Thus says the Lord God, these are the boundaries by which you shall divide the land for inheritance among the 12 tribes of Israel. Joseph shall have 2 portions. You shall divide it equally. I swore to give it to your ancestors, and this land shall fall to you as your inheritance. This shall be the boundary of the land. On the north side from the great sea by way of Hethlon to Lebo Hamath, and on the Zedad, Berothoth, Sibraim, which lies between the border of Damascus and the border of Hamath, as far as Hazer Hatikon, which is on the border of Haran. So the boundary shall run from the sea of Hazar Enon, which is north of the border of Damascus, with the border of Hamath to the north. This shall be the north side. On the east side, between Haran and Damascus, along the Jordan, between Gilead and the land of Israel, to the eastern sea, and as far as Tamar, this shall be the east side. On the south side, it shall run from Tamar as far as the waters of Meribah Kadesh. From there along the Wadi of Egypt to the great sea, this shall be the south side. On the west side of the great sea shall be the boundary to the point opposite Lebo Hamath. This shall be the west side. So you shall divide this land among you according to the tribes of Israel. You shall allot it as an inheritance for yourselves and for the aliens who reside among you and have begotten children among you. They shall be to you as citizens of Israel with you. They shall be allotted an inheritance among the tribes of Israel. In whatever tribes aliens reside, there you shall assign them their inheritance, says the Lord God. These are the names of the tribes: Benjamin at the northern border on the Hiloth road from Lebo Hamath as far as Hazar Enon, which is on the border of Damascus, with Hamath to the north and extending from the east to the west. Dan, one portion, adjoining the territory of Dan from the east side to the west. Asher, one portion, adjoining the territory of Asher from the east side to the west. Naphtali, one portion, adjoining the territory of Naphtali from the east side to the west. Manasseh, one portion, adjoining the territory of Manasseh from the east side to the west. Ephraim, one portion, adjoining the territory of Ephraim from the east side to the west. Reuben, one portion, adjoining the territory of Reuben from the east side to the west. Judah, one portion, adjoining the territory of Judah from the east side to the west shall be the portion that you shall set apart, 25,000 cubits in width and in length, equal to one of the tribal portions from the east side to the west, with the sanctuary in the middle of it. The portion that you shall set apart for the Lord shall be 25,000 cubits in length and 20,000 in width. These shall be the allotments of the holy portion. The priest shall have an allotment measuring 25,000 cubits on the northern side, 10,000 cubits in width on the western side, 10,000 in width on the eastern side, and 25,000 in length on the southern side, with the sanctuary of the Lord in the middle of it. This shall be for the consecrated priests, the descendants of Zadok, who keep my charge, who did not go astray when the people of Israel went astray, as the Levites did. It shall belong to them as a special portion from the holy portion of land, a most holy place, adjoining the territory of the Levites. Alongside the territory of the priests, the Levites shall have an allotment, 25,000 cubits in length and 10,000 in width. The whole length shall be 25,000 cubits and the width 20,000. They shall not sell or exchange any of it. They shall not transfer this choice portion of the land, for it is holy to the Lord. The remainder, 5,000 cubits in width and 25,000 cubits in length, shall be for ordinary use for the city, for dwellings and for open country. In the middle of it shall be the city, and these shall be the dimensions. The north side 4,500 cubits, the south side 4,500 cubits, the east side 4,500, and the west side 4,500. The city shall have open land on the north 250 cubits, on the south 250, on the east 250, on the west 250. The remainder of the length alongside the holy portion shall be 10,000 cubits to the east and 10,000 to the west, and it shall be alongside the holy portion. Its produce shall be food for the workers of the city. The workers of the city from all the tribes of Israel shall cultivate it. The whole portion that you shall set apart shall be 25,000 cubits square. That is the holy portion together with the property of the city. What remains on both sides of the holy portion and of the property of the city shall belong to the prince. Extending from the 25,000 cubits of the holy portion to the east border and westward, from the 25,000 cubits to the west border, parallel to the tribal portions, it shall belong to the prince. The holy portion with the sanctuary of the temple in the middle of it, and the property of the Levites and of the city shall be in the middle of that which belongs to the prince. The portion of the prince shall lie between the territory of Judah and the territory of Benjamin. As for the rest of the tribes from the east side to the west, Benjamin one portion, adjoining the territory of Benjamin from the east side to the west. Simeon one portion, adjoining the territory of Simeon from east side to west. Issachar one portion, adjoining the territory of Issachar from the east side to the west. Zebulun one portion, adjoining the territory of Zebulun from the east side to the west. Gad one portion, and adjoining the territory of Gad to the south. The boundary shall run from Tamar to the waters of Meribath Kadesh, from there along the Wadi of Egypt to the great sea. This is the land that you shall allot as an inheritance among the tribes of Israel, and these are their portions, says the Lord God. These shall be the exits of the city. On the north side, which is to be 4,500 cubits by measure, 3 gates, the gate of Reuben, the gate of Judah, and the gate of Levi, the gates of the city named after the tribes of Israel. On the east side, which is to be 4,500 cubits, 3 gates, the gate of Joseph, the gate of Benjamin, and the gate of Dan. On the south side, which is to be 4,500 cubits by measure, 3 gates, the gate of Simeon, the gate of Issachar, and the gate of Zebulun. On the west side, which is to be 4,500 cubits, 3 gates, the gate of Gad, the gate of Asher, and the gate of Naphtali. The circumference of the city shall be 18,000 cubits, and the name of the city from that time on shall be, the Lord is there.